Squeaky's character traits. We're going to some of her character traits. There's many more, of course, but we talked about how we figured out Squeaky's character traits from quotes in the story, correct? Mm-hmm. And we used those quotes to infer how she was feeling and what her character traits were. Now we're going to talk about how she truly changes in the story, because would you agree that she changes?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk very quickly, just discussing. How do you think she changes from what to what? Danny.
She went to always wanting to win.
Okay, extremely competitive. Okay.
To less competitive and more respect for the other runners and for her brother.
Okay, extremely competitive to what? Let's look up your character traits. What could we say? And we could say respectful. What else might we say? All right, friendly, but she wasn't not friendly to begin with, was she?
She was just competitive.
No, she was just competitive. All right. How about we say she becomes? We'll say respectful, because that's kind of what you came up with the other, right?
Yeah.
She starts focusing on what? Does she just focus on herself?
No.
Okay, so she's focused on herself here, right?
Yes.
Then she starts focusing on what?
Raymond.
Not just Raymond.
Other sweet.
How about focused on others? Yes, because she thinks about Gretchen too, doesn't she?
Yes.
Because she's like, man, Gretchen's pretty what?
Good.
Good. Okay, so focused on others. Okay? Alright, now, let's stop. We'll put Squeaky right here, because she's the one being analyzed. And let's talk about from beginning to end. So exposition has to do with our characters and our setting. What at the beginning makes you know she is focused on herself and extremely competitive? At the very beginning. So this is when the author is kind of introducing the characters and introducing the setting. Danny.
She does these runs like almost every morning where she goes runs with her brother Raymond, and she passed by the girls and they told her that she wasn't going to win. And
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. That's kind of the rising action, though. That leads into some of the major problems. You're good, but what happens at the beginning where we know she's kind of focused on herself? We talked about this with internal conflict. Portia?
He says, all I have to do is mind my brother and go to the house.
Okay. She's not really happy with the fact that she has to what?
Watch her brother.
Watch her brother. Okay? So at the beginning, watching her brother or watching Raymond seems what?
Boring.
Not just boring, but what?
Dumb.
Not just dumb. It seems like she has to really what? Work. Watching Raymond was work she did not want to do, right?
Yeah.
Deal with. Okay. Our rising action. Okay. Our rising action here is Squeaky, yes. She takes and runs, and Raymond goes with her, and what happens?
She meets the other girls.
Right. The other girls do what?
They talk bad about her to her face and
They're trying to what, though?
get her to lose focus on the race.
They are trying to sabotage her. So the other girls are trying to psych her out, right?
Yeah.
And what does she do?
She doesn't lose focus at all. She keeps her focus on the race.
Do you think really though? Because she does what?
Talks back.
She talks back. Okay? So here we go. She kind of talks back. So she just walk away, does she?
No.
And keep working towards the race. She kind of what with them?
Or you could,
She argues with them. Which shows that she's still focused on what?
Herself.
Herself. She's like, no, you're not gonna do this. I'm gonna what?
win.
Win. Okay? Now, the climax here. Well, let's just do this. The beginning, she's focused on herself. Towards the middle, she's still what? Alright, she's focused on herself, but she's also focused on what?
The race.
Winning against whom? Gretchen. Okay, so she's focused on beating whom?
Gretchen.
Okay? She argues with the other girls. She takes up for her brother, but she argues with the other girls mainly because she just wants to show them that she's gonna what?
Win.
Win. Okay? Now we talked about the climax. The climax was the part yesterday or Friday we talked about the climax being the part where they're tied. Or they think they're tied. Do y'all remember that part? Okay, so they're tied here, and what happens during that time? I'm talking about Squeaky. What does she start to do? At first she thought she won. Then the announcers are doing what? They're kind of what? Bickering and arguing over who won. Okay, so she thinks they're tied, or they might be tied. Now, for someone who is only focused on themselves and extremely competitive, what do you expect Squeaky to do here?
Think she won.
Huh?
Think she won.
Think she won and do what?
Get excited.
Right.
Celebrate, get excited, but what does she do?
She just stands there and kind of watches Raymond.
Yeah, she all of a sudden realizes what?
Raymond was running with them.
Not just that Raymond was running with them, but what else over here?
Catching up.
That Raymond was what?
Good.
Say it. Raymond was what?
Good.
He was good. He was fast. He was legitimately a good what? Runner. Okay? So all of a sudden this is happening. Okay? She is starting to what?
Worried.
Okay, but what's that called?
Changing.
Changing. She is changing. Her perspective is changing. Okay? And let's say, and sees Raymond here. The falling action here, she realizes what?
He's pretty good.
Well, she realizes he's good, but not just that. She realizes that she doesn't necessarily have to focus on whom?
Herself.
Herself. She's saying, hey, maybe now I can what?
Teach him.
Coach Raymond.
Yeah. She realizes that she isn't the only one that's what? The only talented person, right? A good runner. Exactly. And the resolution, she decides, even though nothing actually happened, she decides at the very end what? I'm gonna be what?
Well, coach and Raymond.
Maybe I'm gonna coach Raymond, but I'm also gonna be Gretchen's what?
Friend.
Friend. I want to be Gretchen's friend. So I wanna work with her, right?
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yeah.
So in the end, she realizes that others are talented. So she focuses on others, right?